Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday to everybody. I have a new panel this Friday, and I'm excited to share them with you guys. Everybody knows who Beto is. Everybody should know who Wolf is from Niner Game Wolfcast. And I wanted to do something different on Fridays. With the me not being always able to join us, I've been trying to kind of get a crew, and this feels like the beginning of something that could be really great. So I'm glad you both are here. Wolf, you are technically the guest. So before we start anything, I just want to ask you how you're doing and how's the channel? Because every time I watch your channel, dude, you got a good amount of people watching you every stream. So I'm happy to see your progress, and I hope I can do anything to help you at least get like 1 or 2 more subscribers if possible.
Yeah, bro. I'm doing good, man. It's Friday, so I'm feeling good, ready for the weekend, ready for this game. One of my new coworkers is a Raiders fan, and I was like, man, I feel bad for you. But yeah, like you were saying, man, I kind of just started my channel this beginning of the season, and my lady was the one that really encouraged me to do it, and I wanted to do it, but it's not really till you start doing something like this that you kind of learn where you're at in the pack. And there's so many in the community of the 49er YouTube content creators, and you guys have reached out your hearts to me, man. So I really appreciate it. And it's been a great time, man. I'm meeting a lot of great people and a lot of great fans that we're kind of like family now. It's really cool, man. So thank you for having me on as well.
Absolutely. It's a pretty saturated community. To be honest with you, and I've tweeted this before, I said if it wasn't for the fact that I've like kind of cultivated relationships, I probably would have stopped, just because there's so many of us, and I felt like, what's the point? That's how I get sometimes.
Yeah,
but when I see like the amount of people that I've gotten to know,
yeah,
whether it's people that have been in my chat since 2019, or I continue to find and meet new people from different channels, or the relationships like Beto, where I've known him for a while now, and it's been nothing but positivity, and everybody's really supportive and helps everybody. And that's pretty much, I think, the most important part is if when you do these streams, sometimes it can be kind of daunting to speak to a camera, especially if nobody's watching. And I get anxiety a lot of times. Like I had anxiety tonight because I've never had you on, so I'm like, I hope I don't look like a complete dweeb with this guy, and he's not like I'm not talking to him anymore.
No,
never, brother. You're too good to be a dweeb, bro.
I know, but just in case, that's what my mind does. So, but I'm happy to have you here, man. And Beto is, of course, Beto's on with me on Monday on the NWO show, and he pretty much was like, yo, I'll be on. And I'm like, okay.
I got your back, bro.
I'm looking for people to be on me on Friday, because Friday's a tough one. Last week with the holiday, I don't know if people were just saying no because of the holiday, or if they were saying no because they can't do it. But either way, I understand. I'm not like mad. So the fact that we've got this kind of locked in it makes me feel good. So,
well, starting the show off, Aaron, it would be nice me and you host. I'm your co-host, backing you up, supporting you. You can always find one guest every Friday to bring on between us, and give your audience someone to like a surprise mystery guest. You know what I mean? I think
I was trying one today, and I asked them the other day, during the stream. I said the invite's open if you're interested. So it's someone we've had on before. I'll just put it this way. I'll hint at the guy. He recently got his channel back after somebody took it from him.
Oh, SF?
Yes. My boy Raj. Raj has been on before. Raj is super good and a good dude. And we were trying to do something a couple weeks ago when it first happened. And he's like, I would love to come on your channel. And then he put the next line of text, but my channel just got deleted. I'm like, what the I was like so mad.
I've been through that, bro. I know. And his channel is way bigger.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I would just quit YouTube if my channel got taken down. So
then you'll never get it back.
I know. It's such a horrible attitude. I get discouraged easily sometimes.
Fight
So
through it, bro. You fight through it like in life. That's how I got mine back, and that's how Roger got his back. You fight through. You don't listen.
Yeah.
There are haters out there that are going to hate on you. There are people that are going to try to do things to bring you down, but they never give them the satisfaction. Even if you do feel brought down, don't let them know. You continue to be positive, continue to smile, even if it's a fight. Fake it until you make it type of thing. But never give them the thought that they put you down, bro. It's not. They're not worth it.
Yeah, there was well, I didn't know about the Raj thing till today. I forget he was on with Ryan Hensley earlier today, and that's when I first heard about it. That he's in Vegas right now and getting ready for the game as well. So I'm assuming that's why he couldn't make it. But I didn't know he even lost his channel till he said that on there. But one thing, man, is definitely the determination. Like that's two of the guys that I had on, Jesse Naylor and Jason Aponte. Both of those guys, without being cued to do so, made sure that they gave me that advice, that they understood that when you first start out and you're making these videos and your mom's the only one watching, basically, and it's really hard to keep fighting through, but you just got to do it if you want to make something out of it one day. So we got to stay determined. Don't if you ever feel that, we got to be there for each other the way we have been, man. The way you guys have been like bringing me on, like it's really cool. And even when you're talking about with the jitters, man, I kind of had it when I came back from my little trip to California, and I had my first show. I think.
Yeah, I noticed you disappeared. I'm like, what happened to him?
Yeah, I went to do some family stuff in California for a couple weeks, and then I came back, and I was like, oh man, kind of first game jitters in a way.
No, I definitely feel you on that. And I think part of it too is we psych ourselves out the longer we wait to do something.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better just to get on and just do it and get the flustery kind of butterfly feeling out of the way. Before I get into the first topic, I just want to say hi to the chat real quick before it gets away from me.
Hell yeah.
Let me go all the way to the top here. There's already like a gazillion messages. Oh boy. Oh God, this is going to be tough. So we had a guy named Pesata in here, Maya. He was in recently or the other day. I think he was on yesterday. So thank you for coming through. I appreciate it. Of course, Beto's in here with me. We got the one and only Brian Culp, who's always supportive. He's been a supporter of my channel since like 2019.
Hell yeah.
Anthony, I think I've seen you in here before. Thank you for showing up. I appreciate it. Raphael 562, another supporter or longtime supporter. My dude went from Wednesdays, Ted, my co-host from First and Ted, always coming through and being a supporter guy as usual.
Ted.
I love Ted. We got Platform 246 in here. We got Lawrence Jackson. Once again, as always, thanks for coming through, man. I appreciate it.
Oh,
we got Damian Lee in here. I can't even make out what your picture is, but it's got to be something cool.
I think it's Jason. I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure. We got Jesus Christmassy King in here. He says 9 in a row. That's a pretty cool name. East Coast Red and Gold Podcast. Thank you for coming through as always. You guys are awesome.
Welcome.
You guys had some pretty good guests on your channel. Holy moly, Donut Shop. You've had Matt Mayoka. I tried for Matt Mayoka like 2 years ago, and I just gave up on it. So, who else we got in here? I think that might be it.
We got Bashar 49er Minded in here.
Yep, Bashar's in here. I passed right by him. Sorry, Bashar. I love you.
John V.
John V is in here. That's how far behind I am right now.
That's what I'm here for. I got your back. Randy Daytona.
We got Bashar in here. We got Cowboy Angel, of course. Scott Hill. What is going on? Appreciate it.
Scott Hill?
My God, there's a lot of people in here.
That's a good thing.
It is. I'm just intimidated. There he is. There's John V. What up, man? Appreciate you coming through.
Don't be intimidated, bro. Just lean on me, bro.
Randy Daytona, what is up?
Orale, Randy. Cubo.
Appreciate you coming through very, very much, man. Appreciate it. And yeah, I think that's everybody. So I figure I'll let Wolf start it out. Let me take the chat down here. So my first topic I have is the Purdy train continues. I haven't talked to you since Purdy kind of took. I really haven't. Well, I haven't. I've never had you on at all, and I've never been in your stream when you were exactly talking about Purdy. What's been your overall feeling of this kind of whirlwind train that we've been on with Brock Purdy, and do you think it continues?
Oh man, it's awesome, bro. That was a big question mark in preseason for me was I was like, man, he looks really good in preseason and he's making all these really cool plays and this and that. Like they're showing highlights of him where the crowd is going crazy for him when he's rolling out of the pocket and throwing to the corner of the end zone on the move. And I'm like, man, that's really awesome, but I hope he can do it against NFL starters, not just in the preseason. And then we see him close out the game against the Chiefs, and really outside of his connection, his chemistry that he had with Ray McLeod, which would make sense, it looked like crap. So I got a little worried. I was hoping he's playing possum because, I kind of ran the scenario in my head if Jimmy G were to go down at any point. What I saw in the Chiefs game was not very didn't give me a lot of confidence. But man, just I don't think we could be any happier with his performance, man. He's been doing great. He's a lot more dynamic than Jimmy G. So I love it, man. I think it happened at the perfect time too, where he's had time to develop on the bench as well, work with Griese and just get acclimated to the playbook and stuff like that. And he's not thrown into the fire so quickly. It's later on in the season. And it's kind of catching the league by storm rolling into the playoffs. So hopefully this heat continues. I think it will, man, because he's consistent.
What you think, Beto? We talked about this Monday, but I can always get your opinion again because that's what we do here.
Yeah, bro.
Are you willing to? You've been a lot more bold and chest out with this thing and saying like, no, I've seen enough. He's really good. And I'm like, well, maybe you need to wait a little bit. And Beto's like, no, I've seen enough. I'm already calling it now. He's going to be really good. I'm like, well, I got my 2 feet on the ground next to you and one hand. I'm almost there. It's to me, the playoffs, I want to see all these little different steps, these little incremental steps that he's going to take. And, but I got to say, I feel like if he would have got dumped on his head, it would have happened already. If not, something bad would have happened. But how you feeling, Beto, about everything?
I'm feeling great. I mean, listen, he is a rookie. We can't forget that he's a rookie. That mistake or that issue will come. Hopefully, it doesn't come in the playoffs because he's a rookie. But what encourages me with this kid is not just because he's been having some good games and he hasn't lost and the whole, everybody's having a great vibe. And I've been looking at film, all 22. I've been breaking down this kid, not only in pros, but in college since he stepped up as a Niners quarterback. I love his feet work. His feet work it's hard to train quarterbacks how to maneuver their feet when they're backpedaling. I love how he doesn't allow the game to get too big. His awareness of the offense, of the defenders. I mean, he is aware when defenders are coming. That clock that is in his head is always ticking. And listen, you can have a great arm. You can have mobility to run very well. But if you don't have that presence of the pocket, and if you don't make those right decisions, like, for example, the game against the Commanders, two things stood out to me. First is when he rolled out to his left to try to get away from the defender that was coming. He saw him coming. He did that little spin, and then he threw the ball away. Normally, a quarterback of a rookie status would have taken a sack and would have lost a lot of yards. And then towards the end of the game, he actually took a sack and did not try to throw or make something happen where it could have hurt us. So this kid is making decisions that don't look like a rookie type of decision. Even when he went for the first down against Seattle, when his knee hit the ground, but the ball hit the air up in there and he got the first down. These are the things that I love about this kid. This is why I believe he will be a successful quarterback in the NFL. And I'm lucky that we got him because nobody saw this coming. Not even the Niners, in my opinion.
None of us could have said that we saw this coming. I tweeted after Jimmy went down, and you know, Beto, I am not a Jimmy guy. When Jimmy went down, I said, we're done. Put a fork in it. The season's done. And if you said that you didn't feel that way, unless you really followed Purdy, I would say 95% of the fan base was like, yeah, we're screwed. We're done. And that's why I was so squeamish about giving credit to the kid. I have to see like multiple games, and every single game he just proves me wrong, which is exactly what I want. I don't want to be proven right. If somebody told I was listening to KNBR, they're like, if we're on this magical ride, let it end next season in training camp or in the preseason where, okay, he's finally got exposed. Let's have this magical ride go as far as it can this year, and then we'll worry about whatever is going to happen after the fact. So somebody made an interesting tweet comment here. I got to put this up. This has nothing to do with Purdy, but it says Niners must play disciplined football. The officials for this game are top 5 in throwing flags this season. Great.
Yeah, they are.
That
You're
sounds like
against,
Jerome
you're playing
Booker
against
crew.
that team, and you're playing against the officials.
Yeah, that's when the Niners needed. Me and my nephew always made this good point because my nephew's a 49er fan. He goes, Uncle Aaron, he goes, you know what the Niners need to do if they don't want to live with the officials and what they're doing? Play better. Win without a shadow of a doubt. You're in these close games where officiating can make the game go one way or the other. That's your fault for not doing what you had to do. I mean, especially if you're better than a team and you're not smoking.
Makes perfect sense.
Because we could blame refs all the time. They're human. That's exactly what they are.
Don't
So
put yourself in that situation where you have to blame the ref.
if you're up 20 in the fourth quarter with 7 minutes to go, pretty much don't have to worry about the refs.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
that's all I'm saying about that.
I just wanted to add real quick about Purdy that I like his storyline so far, and it's a story so far. His dad grew up as a Dolphins fan, living in Florida. His uncle, he wears 13 because of Dan Marino, and he grew up, and this team is still the Dolphins, right? How beautiful it was that, not that Jimmy got hurt, but that Jimmy went down and he had to come in unexpectedly and show the world who he is against his team that he grew up cheering for, which is the Dolphins.
And Dan Marino was in the booth that game too.
Yep. Everything is mounting up this year to be a storyline, and it's not in. The end of the story is going to be first time a rookie 7th round pick, Mr. Relevant, took a team to the Super Bowl and won it. Watch.
God, I really hope that happens. I really do. I feel like this team is capable.
Yeah,
ahead.
definitely. I feel like there's something about the NFL wanting to promote these storylines, man. I don't want to get too far into conspiracies, but it just always seems that way.
You're right.
Yeah, it just always seems that way. It works in that favor. But actually, speaking of the Dolphins, I want to mention something real quick because
Go
I was
ahead.
scrolling through Facebook and I saw a meme. You guys might have seen this already. It's pretty hilarious, but they had a picture of Tua Tagovailoa in his jersey, all in his gear and everything from behind, and it says instead of Tagovailoa, his last name was Turndabalova.
Seen that.
Oh man, that cracked me up.
Yes, Brian, I do have a Hufanga jersey on.
Hell yeah.
Got to support my island brother.
Yeah.
Definitely. So one of the things I added later to the topics that I sent you guys both, I said the Brian Griese effect. I was watching something or listening to something again. Like I listen to radio or I listen to podcasts, and then I'm like, I'm going to use that as something as a topic, as a talking point. How crucial, even for Jimmy. Jimmy looked different this year. I mean, he still looks like Jimmy, but the mistake plays weren't there as much. He seemed more accurate. He seemed more sure to go with the ball. Wolf, how big of an effect do you think Griese's had on that position group? Coming from a guy who was never a coach but played the position.
Yeah, exactly, man. For me personally, it's hard to say because we're not there in the building. But like you said, Jimmy G was having the best year of his tenure with the Purdy. Purdy is firing on all cylinders. I feel like Trey Lance wasn't given as much of a shot as he should have been given. But Griese himself was a pocket quarterback to begin with. So, I mean, I'm sure he's going over all the fundamentals with these guys, and it's just showing, through Garoppolo's footwork and stuff like that. Outside of that, like the quarterbacks haven't had improvements with other. What was Scangarello, right? Was the quarterback coach last year.
Yep.
We didn't see any quarterbacks improving like this when Scangarello was here.
No.
So
he was gone a year, and I think he came back. And I remember listening to Grant Cohn, and he was like, "Have the quarterbacks really improved with this guy in the building?" And I'm like, "No, they really haven't. If anything, they regressed under the guy." So, yeah,
he's kind of like, he might just be that silent killer, man, where, he's not being hyped up too much, and he's just that one guy in the building sitting in the corner that's secretly having a lot of success in the coaching staff. And one other thing to mention was his father was a quarterback who won a Super Bowl. So I'm sure that family knows they know a thing or two about quarterbacking. But yeah, that's
you got the Kubiak's part of that too. You got Clay Kubiak on the staff, who was Elway's backup for a lot of his career, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have another quarterback who wasn't that successful, but a lot of these guys who maybe weren't the best at the game, a lot of them are just, they didn't have the physical tools. Maybe they were heady and were smart, but just lacked in the physical department. Some of those guys make the best coaches.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I don't know if Tom Brady could be a coach. Michael Jordan can't be a coach, because they're the people who are like, let me just show you how to do it. Whereas some people are such students, they could sit there and they can draw on the chalkboard all day and they have no problem with it. So it's like, hey, whatever, it's been working, so I'm cool with it. Scangarello, from what a lot of people were saying, was one of the people in the building who wasn't a fan of the 49ers drafting Trey Lance. So a lot of these coaches that you saw Exodus last year were a lot of people that were not on the train of the Trey Lance train.
Yeah.
So they pretty much were like excommunicated. They were out. Like, you got to have people on, if you're making a move that's going to be franchise changing, you got to have people in the building that actually are on board. Yeah. Yep. And it's not saying that you have to force people to like something, but when you spend that kind of capital on a player, he's going to get a chance. And if you're in the building and you don't support it and you're making waves that you don't support it, then you got to go. So,
yeah.
My thing too, and this is not really anything I gave you guys question before, was the just this whole like, what about this and Trey and next year and this, and from someone who is anxiety ridden and I was worried about everything in the future, I can honestly say, let's just can we just think about this year for now and let's live this out, man. Yeah. Whatever it ends up being, whether we lose in the wild card game or we make it to the Super Bowl and win it, can we just worry about this year, and next year? Well, I look at what Grant Cohn said, and I know I keep bringing his name up a lot. The Niners have one of the best quarterback situations going into 2023. Why are we looking at it in any other way than they got a starter and a really good backup? Whoever that starter is going to be, the backup's going to be really good too. So they're in a good position, and they're both cheap. So,
and that's the key word, bro. Look at all the quarterbacks that had won. Look at all these teams that had won the Super Bowl lately. It's either been on a really good quarterback-friendly deal or a rookie deal. And you got Trey Lance, you got Brock Purdy, both of them on a very low cost. You can bring in some extra help. You can sign Bosa, and you can still bring in some free agents to help out next year, because you don't have to worry about paying your quarterbacks right away. So it's a good problem to have, and they're going to compete each other. Iron sharpens iron.
Yep.
So as good as Purdy gets this year, no matter how far he goes, he's going to bring the best out of Trey, and Trey's going to bring the best out of Brock, and that benefits for us as Niner fans.
Yeah.
Damian Lee says Jordan, Bird, Isaiah Thomas were bad coaches. It's the guys that play with superstars that make good coaches. Steve Kerr, Mark Jackson, Jason Kidd. Yeah. Exactly.
I don't like the quarterback play that we had last year. He sucks, bro. I'm glad he's gone. I'm glad he wasn't on board for Trey.
Yeah, me too.
Apparently he doesn't know what he's doing. Look at you, Brian Griese in, and look at Brian Griese has come in and has changed the attitude of these quarterbacks. Like you said, Jimmy is Jimmy. He's always going to be Jimmy, but Jimmy was a little bit less of himself this year because of what Griese was doing. Imagine what Griese is going to do with Trey Lance once he gets a complete healthy Trey Lance. It's something that's going to be fun to watch going forward, years to come.
Definitely. Something that, and we're gonna. If you guys are okay, can we move off the Purdy topic if that's okay, and move into the topic I got here is Kittle isn't washed after all. I in the beginning of the season will admit, and all my NWO guys know, I said, hey, if there's a chance that we could get something from Trey Lance, or excuse me, for George Kittle, would you move off of him? Because again, Grant made it a point to say that he thought maybe he took a step back. I totally felt the same way. I had people like Jess Nealer on the show who said, I don't think so. I'm like, man, I don't know. He really looks like he's dragging, like maybe he's lost a step with all the physicality. Boom, here comes a quarterback. They move around and go through his progressions, and all of a sudden, he looks like George Kittle from 2019. So, Wolf, are you surprised of this resurgent Kittle, or were you knew it was there all along that just had to take the right quarterback?
I definitely knew it. And everybody, people that watch my show, I know it's going to get repetitive, but all the receipts are there. I've been saying all season that I see the step in Kittle, that he's got it, man. He came back from injury, and just as soon as he came back, I knew we had to give him a chance to and I thought it was smarter to let him go slowly into it. And every week he just seemed to get better and better and get more production each game. And so I saw it ramping up, and then being smart, taking it slowly. So now he's, like you said, get a quarterback that's more dynamic and a lot more experience with more poise, which is crazy for a rookie, but
a 7th round rookie.
And Kittle looks like Kittle of old again, man. Who would have thunk it?
He's even stealing passes from friggin' Ray McLeod over the middle. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I actually saw a clip today on the 49 Hours where Ray McLeod came over. He's like, I was over there, and then I see Kittle coming. I'm like, what the hell's Kittle doing here? And then Brock Purdy walks up behind him too. He's all, you're a jerk.
From what Kittle said, he thought it was a safety, so he's trying to like box out. Like he didn't see him. Who cares if you ask me? It was a beautiful throw. That was a beautiful throw. I didn't know
he won me the fantasy game that I needed that week, and it was Kittle. But real quick on Kittle,
go ahead.
In the beginning of the year, we guys got to remember we had a rookie guard starting for us at the right side and Buford Spencer. We had a Brindle starting for the very first time at center. Then we had even Eric Banks, since he's been playing well, but we didn't know what we were going to have in him start the year. So I can understand why Kittle was kind of more used as a blocker. But as these players got better, as the offensive line got better, they started to kind of loosen the reins on Kittle and start using him a little bit more on the field. And then when Brock took over, it became even better situated for Kittle. So the offensive line got better. Those individual players that I mentioned got better. And then we got a better play quarterback. So that all benefits for a positive Kittle attack down the middle. So he's always there. He was just being used to help these rookies. And now that these rookies kind of have their feet underneath them, if you will, now Kittle can do his thing, and we're starting to see evidence of it.
I think I'm one of those people that lacks patience, especially early in the season. If you have a good team and you're expecting so much from that team, and they're kind of underperforming, you get really short on patience, and you're like, yeah, this guy sucks. Get rid of him or trade him, instead of playing the long game, which the Niners once again have taught me a lesson in patience. My old Sicilian Nana used to say pazienza in Italian, which means patience. Even though she had no patience, she was the most hyper,
you gotta love
crazy
that, right?
Sicilian woman, just like my mother. My mom has no patience either. But it's true. You got to have patience in life and in sports, especially with this Niners team. For some reason, they just seem to come out of the blocks a little slow, or they come out fast and they slow down. They're never like... It's even like the year before where we started slow and then we were 2 minutes away in the championship game from actually getting back to the Super Bowl. So I guess what my whole thing was Kittle early in the season. I know he was coming off an injury and he just didn't seem like an integral part of the offense. I remember putting something on Twitter and getting corrected by one of those, I watched the film, man. I watched the all 22. What are you talking about, people who I block? And they're like, actually, Kittle was only in on 5 blocking plays. What are you talking about? I'm like, well, just seems like he's used more as a blocker. Well, I guess I was wrong. Point I was making is I'm not seeing him. What's the problem? Nobody can explain it. But maybe it just took time, and it took the right, like you said, the right quarterback, a guy he stands in the pocket and progresses through his progressions. Garoppolo always came across to me as a guy that kind of abandoned reads quickly.
Yeah. Because
he was panicking, with the shuffling of the feet or the padding of the ball. I don't see that from the kid. 7th round kid. He's got so much poise, and he's like a crusty veteran, just the way that he deals with things. Even the way he talks to his teammates. It's nice. Like you said, he called Kittle a jerk. I freaking love that.
Yeah.
It's good to see Kittle, and I hope it continues because Debo's out this week. Which I'm happy that they did that.
He did practice, though. That's a good thing.
Yeah, he was practicing, and so the people that are in there, I think we'll have enough against the Raiders, but you never know. But I think
Elijah Mitchell will start practicing next week. He would have practiced this week, but he's dealing with a illness that he's taking care of. But it sounds like him and D will be ready for the playoffs, definitely. Which is a good thing.
Young Montana says, and I like the nickname, by the way. He says Jimmy is a 31-year-old rookie, and Brock acts like a 7-year vet. Right?
Yeah.
My brother was asking me. He goes, "Yo, where's Jimmy on the sidelines when he's hurt?" I said, I said, Jimmy doesn't do that. That's not the kind of guy Jimmy is. I said, football is not his number one priority. He's like, I see Lance. I see this person on the sideline when they're hurt. I was like, where's Jimmy? I said, he's nowhere to be found because this is not end all be all. Like Brock Purdy plays like end all be all. Like he's so poised with the media. Same thing with Lance, even though Lance hasn't had it's sad, man. He hasn't had his chance to really ingratiate himself with this fan base. And that's why some people are so quick to turn on him. Those two really come across in the media like they have a lot of poise. Go ahead.
A lot of people get pissed off, man, because after Garoppolo throws an interception or loses a game, you catch him smiling or running up to players and
giving him.
Yeah. So that's part of it, which wondering whether his head's in the right place when it, like you said, the end all be all. But not only that, it seems like he only plays, has his best football when it's a contract season.
Yeah.
So that was another reason I'm like, okay, I want to give Brian Griese credit if he's doing the damn thing. But how much of it is Garoppolo playing for his new contract as well? So that's up in the air for me. But yeah, man, I agree with you with Garoppolo not really being all in all the time.
The part of him doing things on contract year, I agree with you. But the Niner fans need to understand if Jimmy, and I'm not defending Jimmy, I'm not a Jimmy fan. But if Jimmy smiles when he makes a mistake or whatever, that's just his personality. I mean, what do these fans want him to do? Whether he throws a touchdown or an interception, just look at the camera and flip the camera off. I mean, it's just that's his thing. He's always smiling. So I don't know. I don't want to discredit him for that. Now the contract year, I understand he does play better, and a lot of players do that because they want to get the bag. But if he's smiling, I mean, it sucks that he throws an interception and he's smiling because it sounds like it kind of gives the thing that he doesn't care. It doesn't that he doesn't care. He just smiles. I mean,
to me, it's just a bad optic. If
what would he have to do? Hit the.
I want to be like, and listen, I'm not advocating Tom Brady's petulant crybaby attitude, but I listen, as a person, I am always quick to blame myself over others when things screw up, and I take a lot out on myself, and I'm hard on myself. I want to see a guy who it bothers, and he's upset about it, and he carries it with him, and has to be told by a coach, let it go, instead of a guy who's just chatting it up. They lost by 20 points, and they're smiling at midfield, signing jerseys. It just. My nephew doesn't like it, and he's a new school fan. He's only 28. He hates that midfield trash. He says, I hate when they do the jersey swap. I hate when they're cool with each other. He's like, the opponent is your enemy. I was like, you know what? It's not like that anymore, bro. But that's how I grew up. But we hated the Cowboys, man. We hated the Packers growing up. Now it is a business, and everybody's right. It's all about getting money for your family and producing. But man, I don't know. I'm just old school, man. Like I've been watching football since 1989. I was 9 years old, and watching those Cowboy NFC Championships games or the Giants or the Packers, and then seeing nowadays these players like Garoppolo just yucking it up. I'm just, man, that just does not sit well with me. But
what are these players supposed to do? Like, let's say
be mad.
Let's say we all played. Let's say all three of us played for the same college, and we went on to be on NFL teams. And some of us were the Raiders, Cowboys, and Niners. Okay, now we're really cool friends. We talk a lot. We played together. We're in different teams. Now we're in a rival teams. What are we supposed to do? Hate each other's guts now and not be friends no more?
No. I yeah, that's true. I don't know.
These guys are friends from college.
If you're talking to the media after a game, I think where's Ted? He said quick to like, what was it? What did he say?
Stand up for
criticism and duck praise. Yeah, always be the guy that always defers praise to the team. And when something goes bad,
he doesn't do that. That's a problem with him.
If something happens, even if you thought you played well, you take the blame. That's just what a leader does. You never see that from Jimmy. You saw that from Trey, his first game, I think, against the Bears, where he's talking about, I know what I missed. I missed this play. I missed that play. That's on me. I'm like, I love this guy, and the same thing with Purdy. Purdy's the same. And this dude was playing with busted up ribs and this, that, and the other, and all these other problems. And he hates leaving plays on the field. His teammates say he gets really upset when he leaves plays on the field. And, you're winning, you're scoring 37 points, but, you technically could score 50. Mm-hmm. I mean, if the Niners would have converted some of those field goals to touchdowns against the Commanders last week, the Niners could have put up a 50 burger, but unfortunately it didn't happen. But I like a guy that is upset and it bothers him.
Let me ask you something real quick, Aaron, and I want to get your honest opinion. The game against the Commanders, let's say we would have put a 50 burger on them, okay? But we would have lost because they would have beat us by 2-3 points.
51-50.
Would that 50 matter?
No.
So the fact that we went for field goal, and I hear where you're coming from, you went for a field goal, but at the end of the day, man, if you get that W, I don't care how they got it. As long as that W comes, I'm okay. It's when we lose and they should have went for a touchdown instead of a field goal, that pisses me off. I'm like, they should have went for it. But if you win and you control the game the way the Niners get, I want the W. I can care less about the points. Look at the Rams. They put a 50 burger on the Broncos, but they ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
But enjoy your 50 burger. That's all you're getting is that burger. You have no cheese.
That's right. And you ain't going anywhere in the playoffs. You're home for January and February.
So enjoy that 50 burger.
I definitely think we're different there, man. I'm a very critical fan, I think. And
me too.
I don't know why, but I mean, just to each his own. It's cool either way. And that's what makes for better conversation. So that's cool.
Yep.
Right.
With the Jimmy G thing, man, I think there's a good and bad to, kind of that goldfish mentality where you want him to be able to forget that real quick and turn it back on. That's awesome. That's a good thing about his game. I do love that. So, that's a pro to it. But it's weird too, because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I feel like this has been the year, his contract year, where he's cared more about throwing those interceptions. I feel like we haven't heard that narrative, really seen him smiling after an interception this year of all years. So, that kind of plays into that whole little conspiracy thing too. But
about his money,
you kind of want to have that Eli Manning effect too, where he's just kind of dumbfounded. He looks all the time and kind of just got his head in the game. But yeah, man, there's pros and cons to I could see it both ways.
That's a good point there, Wolf.
Yeah, I'm not going to criticize anybody and how they cheer for the game, especially as fans. Some fans are way more positive than others. Some of it's fake positivity because they have a narrative to push because they have either a channel or they have a podcast or they have they do media and they do articles, so they can't, like, you don't see Matt Mayoko or Matt Barrows just completely burying players because it wouldn't be good for business. But then there's other people that rip people's ass.
Yeah.
And that's cool too. And I'm a New Yorker. I'm an East Coast guy, Northeast guy. we're critical of people over here, bro.
Mhm.
Like it's just like Philly. West Coast, it's hard for me sometimes to listen to Niners press conferences because it's like a love fest all the time. I'm like, can somebody challenge somebody here? You know, and but it's.
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
I'm a lover, not a fighter too. But when it comes to my media and with players, I want people to be pissed off. It just comes across to me like you care more. But in the end, it doesn't really matter because you could be slamming stuff on the sideline and still suck, and doesn't change the way you play.
Yeah.
Or you could be a goofball. You could be a goofball, and all of a sudden you're playing better after making a mistake. So I guess it doesn't really matter. But
and that's the thing too, man. Like you got Matty Mayoko and you got a guy like Grant Cohn, and they're like, I don't know if they could be more opposite of each other when it comes to covering the team, but they have a lot of love and respect for each other. I love and respect both of them. Like I love both of their contents, and I get different perspectives. So I just love that. I like getting like doing the conversation thing and getting everybody's perspective on it because it helps me kind of.
It's like going into a buffet table, right? You get to choose what you want to hear. Right. Grant Cohn brings his version of it. Matt Maiocco brings his. David Lombardi brings his. Whoever it is that you like to listen to, bring their perspective, and you can get pieces of each individual. You don't have to love one or hate the other. You just take what you like and throw away what you don't. You know what I mean?
And you know what the great thing is? If you don't like seeing somebody on Twitter, just block them.
Yeah.
And if you don't like listening to somebody, don't listen to them. Why are you stressing? I've learned on Twitter with people who irritate me, and I know I irritate some people too. Block me. I don't care. That's fine. That's all right. But I got to be honest. And just like as fans and media people, you got to be honest too. Exactly. Listen, I was critical of Kittle. Always getting hurt all the time and being goofy and always being goofy and stuff. But at the same time, I love the guy. So my nephew says that I'm kind of a hard fan to be around, but he's exactly the same way. He's hypercritical of the 49ers. He'll say like, yeah, we won by 30 this game. Watch us lose next week. That's exactly how I am. It's like we can never just like enjoy it. But
bro, I went to jail. I don't do this anymore. I got older, a little bit wiser, I think. But there was a time that we lost when we lost to the Giants. This is way back in the 80s, and I got into a bar fight, and went up spending 3 days in jail because I was pissed that my Niners lost. You know what I mean? And I'm sitting there for 3 days in jail and had to go to court because I couldn't hold my temper because I was mad. You know, now I think about it, I'm like, the Niners didn't even realize I was in jail. You know what I mean? So there has to be an extent how far you go, get mad, have a tantrum, but at the end of the day, let it go and move on because the team does it. Why not us?
I know one thing, man. If I'm going to a 49er Raider game, you got to be ready to fight. I'm ready to fight.
Yeah.
That's one thing.
I'm too old
Raider
for that.
fans, women fight better than their men.
If anything, I'll just take my neighbor because he's like a really quiet guy, but he knows mixed martial arts. So I'll just be like, yo, even though I'm the bigger dude, I'm too old for that mess. I'll probably end up hurting another.
They ain't going nowhere. I'll just sit on them. They ain't going nowhere.
You got to get a hold of them first. If they're fast and quick, there's no shot. So being big and I've learned that being a big guy doesn't always constitute into being a better fighter, but
no, not at all.
Let's talk. I'm going to move away from the offense and no, we're still on the offense. So I told you guys about this piece of information I got from Steph Sanchez from the 49K Gold podcast. Mm-hmm. And it said that she puts it right here. It says Raiders secondary is abysmal. Both safeties, Trevon Moehrig and Duron Harmon, are allowing completion percentages of 75% or more in coverage. And then she shows the passer rating of Moehrig, which is 142.1. Yep. Cornerback Hobbs 112.6, and the safety Harmon 120.7. Pretty much what she's saying is that the Niners should be able to move the ball in the air in this game, even without Deebo Samuel. So, I guess my question to Wolf, Kittle have another big game tomorrow? Or, excuse me, Sunday? McCaffrey, do you think the passing game shines, or you think the Niners are just kind of do things like they normally do it?
I mean, I don't think they're going to get too far and away from what Kyle Shanahan typically does. That's the one good thing that I love about having Brock Purdy in there is, you know, it seems like Kyle Shanahan has always played not to not lose the game, and now he's putting his foot on the gas pedal, and so that's pretty badass to see that confidence coming from Kyle Shanahan. And yeah, man, I think this for Kittle, I would love for this to be a great game, man, for him, because Kelsey had 4 touchdowns against the Raiders. And I always hate the argument. I don't know why Kelsey is in the same conversation with Kittle. I never understood it at all.
Can I interrupt
whatsoever.
you with
that? You can go ahead, but
so I, for a while, was all about Kittle being the best. But when you look at, and I know a lot of people are going to say, look at his quarterback. If you look at the numbers and the productivity, he's putting up Hall of Fame level statistics, Kelsey, like yearly. And I think like a lot of it has to do with the fact that he has a certain type of offense with a certain type of quarterback. I love Kittle, but the fact that Kittle can't stay healthy and Kelsey can, that's kind of where my divide is. 2 years ago, in 2019, I thought Kittle was the best tight end in the NFL. But as time has went on and I've seen Kelsey not get hurt and he just produces massive numbers, dominates teams. He doesn't block well, but that's not what they ask him to do. I guess I've separated and gone towards Kelsey, even though I hate the Chiefs. That's all I'll say.
All I know, if I go to the bar, I'd rather have Kittle have my back than Kelsey.
That's all I want to say. But I'm not disagreeing or crapping on you. That's kind of like my perspective. Go ahead.
Well, one thing you touched on there was the quarterback. Yeah. And just when you look
good point.
When you looked at, that's one of the main things right there in my argument, as well as, like, for example, when the 49ers played the Chiefs this season, the way Andy Reid was scheming things up to get players open in space, like Patrick Mahomes wasn't doing anything miraculous. It was just soft coverage where Reid was scheming things up perfectly for these receivers to be wide open. Now, the thing with the quarterback situation from our aspect is, now that Purdy's in there, if you guys really watch what the touchdowns, like how they look for Kittle now, he's in wide open space. They're not check downs, as opposed to when Jimmy G's the quarterback, is check downs and try to take it for 80 yards, try to take it for 50. We're getting Kittle in space again, or at least, Purdy's getting far enough in his progression to where Kittle is open and doesn't have 3 guys draped on his back.
I agree.
So that can be attributed to why his health wasn't always so great, was because Garoppolo was trying to check down to him.
That's a valid point there, Wolf. I like that. You're right. And you mentioned earlier about Kyle Shanahan playing more aggressive now, or better than just playing it safe. I don't think Kyle Shanahan, since he's been in San Francisco coach, has had the quarterback that can completely execute his scheme. Trey Lance, we don't know because he's gotten hurt, but Jimmy could not execute it to the way Kyle wants to do it, and he's seeming to find that in Brock. He's starting to believe in Brock. Brock can execute exactly what Kyle wants to do, so then Kyle opens up the playbook even more and gets more creative because he knows his quarterback can execute it. Based on Jimmy, you can call the best play, but if your quarterback doesn't execute it because he gets happy feet, it doesn't matter. And you're right. Kyle will always scheme receivers open, but can the quarterback see it on time to get that ball to them? And he does see it, Brock, and he has been giving it to Kittle in wide open spaces. So hopefully he'll start getting hurt less, because nobody wants to, and plus nobody wants to tackle him. If you notice, when he gets the ball, you see the safeties just kind of like, oh shit, like I didn't see him. Yeah. I didn't see him, and he just rolls right into the end zone. And I love it. Things have changed because of Brock, and now Kyle's opening up another different, and the beneficiaries are going to be the Kittles, the Deebo Samuels, and the youths, and we're going to see a better test on Sunday how good this kid really is against the Raiders.
I think what Wolf is trying to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, if all things equal, Kittle's the better tight end. If Kittle had the exact same thing, I agree with. I guess if I'm just going based on, I don't want to discredit Kelsey and say he sucks, because he does not. But in that offense, Kittle is going to have the same numbers, if not better. So that I agree with. If all things are fair, then we got to give it the edge to Kittle. I love Kittle. Like I said, I'm like Wolf. I'm kind of a hard to please fan. So like, I just nitpick that. I nitpick the crap out of stuff.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Right.
And
Real
let's
quick,
see.
I just want to say hello to Corey Davis. I hope your surgery went well.
Yeah.
Prayers to you.
What's up, Corey?
Shoot some of those my way, Corey, because I might be getting knee surgery. So I'd appreciate that if you give it back. Not that I'm doing anything that's going to cost me anything. And somebody in the chat just said Barbara Walters just died, the famous TV personality broadcaster from 2020 and all those other shows. Barbara Walters, that famous host.
Yeah, I know who she is. What happened?
She passed away.
Barbara Walters passed away?
Yeah, it was like when Betty White passed away. It's like it finally happened. No.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, we all got to go, man. I mean, it's funny.
93.
We all know we're going to die sometime, right? And we still get shocked when we die.
Right. Yeah. If my mom makes it to 93, 94, I'll be a happy man. The women on my side of the family live way longer than the men. So I'm taking advantage of the years that I'm on this planet because it may not be much.
I hope
the Niners. Go ahead, Wolf.
I hope that the production with Kittle I hope it carries into the playoffs. So that for one, definitely, man.
I think it will.
Not waste it off at the end of the season, but not see the playoffs.
I think so too.
And I hope it doesn't slow down when Debo comes back either.
Yeah, that too. Like Ayuk has seen a drop in production, but like what I was talking about with Kelsey and getting 4 touchdowns against the Raiders when he played them earlier in the season. And then this was something I wanted on Monday Night Football against the Cardinals because Kelsey on Sunday Night Football had just put up those 4 touchdowns. And I was like, man, we got to get Kittle some love, man. Let's get him some touches because he's got it. I can see it there in the tank. You just got to get him the ball. And sure enough, they got him, like 3 touchdowns in that game on Monday Night Football. So that was badass. Hopefully they hear us again and do it against the Raiders. Now, you were talking about the secondary. That's where it all started. But the defense for the Raiders, they actually are ranked 24th overall. And the 49ers as an offense are ranked 9th now in the NFL. So no matter what we got to say or anything, that in itself that bodes well for the 49ers. And we basically have no excuse. And hell yeah, Corey Davis, I just saw your comment right there, man. That's what's up. Hell yeah. A lot of, like I said yesterday, blessings and strength, bro. I hope everything goes as good as it possibly can for you, Corey. And I'm glad the Niners are giving you something to look forward to too, man, because that's 49ers is a form of therapy for all of us.
It is.
Amen to that.
Amen to that.
But they got to be doing
home
good.
with my busted up knee, and I'm like, well, at least I get to watch my team kick ass.
The 49er cheerleaders. Those are very
crazy. It's crazy, man. Yeah. Speaking of offense, this is kind of like the last offensive part of the show. Okay. Debo, back practicing this week, isn't going to play. I'm just going to ask you straight up, Wolf, do you even want to see Debo the rest of the regular season, or are you just content to see him in the playoffs? Do you think he gains anything from playing?
Outside of, not losing, like not just getting game reps and getting thrown into the playoffs, I can understand that people want him to roll into the playoffs with some game time experience. Right before you just jump into the playoffs, but they're doing that in practice, right? And everybody else is firing on all cylinders. So I want him to just get as healthy as possible. One of the things I don't want, like Raheem Mostert was talking about it, how the 49ers staff would try to rush him back from injury, and they try to put all these drugs in you so they numb the pain. But still, that lends itself to injury. It doesn't matter if you feel the pain or not. You can still be getting hurt. Those ligaments be tearing. So I just take your time with it. There's no reason whatsoever. Save him for the playoffs. And that's where he has to make his money anyways. That's when it's going to count, is in the playoffs, not in the regular season. Our spot in the playoffs is basically, it's cemented already. So we're good.
Bashar says, Debo sitting out this game. I'd love to see him smash the Raiders, but hey, Just save him for the playoffs. Agreed,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
I asked my brother too, and I was like, should he even play? He's like, why? I'm like, okay. My brother's a man of few words, so when he just says why, that means don't play him. So that's how it works. My whole thing is I gotta just comment on that whole Raheem Mostert thing. I just never understand how guys have sour grapes when you were a journeyman special teamer your whole career, and then one team took a shot at you and got you paid, and you're as brittle as fine china. That just always comes off to me is like, what's with the sour grapes, man? Like you were in a Super Bowl and almost won it. Now you're going down to Miami. I have nothing against Miami. That's my brother's squad. I just hate people like that. Like, keep your mouth shut, man. But that's just my feeling on that.
He's ungrateful. He's an ungrateful punk, bro. You're right. Well, he was nobody prior to coming to the Niners.
Nothing.
Kyle Shanahan brought him in and got him where he's at. He got paid. Yeah.
The Dolphins got rid of him, among other teams. And then he went to the 49ers, and then he's going to...
Exactly.
Just keep your mouth shut walking out the door, but whatever. He ain't our problem no more.
Yeah.
Speaking of Debo not playing, do you guys believe, Wolf, of course, you're going to go first. Do you believe, and then I'll ask Beto, in going all out to capture a seed if it's still there, or are you of the mindset once the playoffs have kind of set and there's no real chance, do you start yanking guys and going, just the safe route?
Well, I mean, the Cowboys just beat the Eagles. Of course, Jalen Hurts was out, but it doesn't matter. For playoff seeding, still kept our hopes alive for the number 1 seed, which is great. I really want that because last year, you go back into the playoffs, 49ers were the wild card team that had to travel all over the damn place. And I feel like they looked like it took a toll on them. They looked worse of the wear rolling into that NFC championship.
Agreed.
And so if we can save the team from having to go through that, I know it's going to callous them for the Super Bowl, probably, if they were to have to go that route. But I want to go for the number 1 seed. Hurts is doubtful for this week to play against the Saints. So the Saints might have a chance here, man. They had a pretty good defensive show out against us, held us to 13 points. Even their offense had flashes as well. So don't count the Saints out. They can beat the Eagles and keep our number 1 seed hopes alive. And yeah, man, I mean, that's where I stand. I want us to win. I feel we could beat the Cardinals even with and the Raiders, even with our second string. But let's make sure we get that dub.
And the Packers need to beat the Vikings because you don't want the Vikings to get that first place. Because if the Vikings don't lose, and even if we tie, even if we're 1 game behind, we don't get that for number 1. So let's root for the Packers to beat the Vikings this weekend.
I will say this. I'm going to knock on wood, but I would rather travel to Minnesota for the 49ers to travel to Minnesota than the Eagles. I feel like the Eagles are a way better team overall, and the Vikings are kind of a one-trick pony. So I feel like we could dominate them wherever, and we could probably just run right through them again and play really good defense. But let's get it. Let's get that number 1 seed.
Yeah, it's weird. Actually, you know what, Beto? Go ahead. I'll talk after.
No, go ahead. I'm okay.
For the longest time, this is a not really a disagreement. Me and Beto, sometimes we differ on the whole, injury front thing, but he's right. Like, you play football, it's physical. If you can avoid guys playing and you're blowing somebody out by 30 points, sit their ass down. They don't need to be in the game. However, when we were up on the Bucks with Brady, even though it was a lot, I still didn't believe it. Like, it's Brady, bro. Like, I'm like, people are like on Twitter, like, yo, we need to take people out. And I'm like, no, we don't.
I don't know.
There has to be
Brady,
until there's about 2 minutes left and we're still up 3 touchdowns. Even that, like, it doesn't seem like it's ever enough. But I am of the mindset, unless you're up by a ton, if you're fighting for a spot, you play as hard as you would if you were in the playoffs. And if you get the spot, great. If you don't get the spot, well, that just, like you said, it calloused you for the playoffs.
So let me ask you a question on that point you're making.
Go ahead.
Let's say the Niners win against the Raiders. Let's say Minnesota loses against the Packers. Now we have that 2 seed. in our belt. We have it. It's not going anywhere because even if we tie with the Vikings, we get that number 2 seed. And let's say the Eagles win and beat the Saints. By beating the Saints, they're going to lock the number 1 seed. Okay, all they got to do is win in one game, and they lock it. So if that happens, come week 18 against the Cardinals, do we still play our starters or do we sit them out? In your guys' opinion?
Go ahead, Wolf. I really don't know.
That's a tough one for me because I do want the guys to be in game day shape for the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I still would like to sit them out, maybe play them for a quarter, I guess. But, kind of like a preseason type game. I want to see reps out of Josh Johnson. But overall, for the starters like Kittle, Ayuk, Purdy,
Bosa.
all the main guys, Bosa, I would like to see them get some rest. They've been playing really hard for a long season.
Yeah, Bosa said it best at this point in the season. You just do the stuff that you've been doing all year and your, the ways that you kind of get your body right for each game. He goes, at this point in the year, everybody's hurting, everybody's tired. The whole league is. Hell, if the Niners would have just took care of business early in the season, then we wouldn't even have to worry about this because they'd have the number 1 seed. But it's woulda, shoulda, coulda. It's not it could still be a possibility, but like Beto says, if they lose one, or if they win one, Philly, then it's a wrap for them. But
it's a
that
wrap.
number 2 seed is important to me because Beto made a point of this. If we take care of business in a wild card, we get a divisional game in our crib. If the Eagles lose in the divisional round, their first playoff game, we get home field advantage throughout the playoffs. So, in a way, I'm answering my own question of, you got to play all the way, unfortunately. And if somebody gets hurt, then
exactly, momentum is everything.
It sucks to say that, but like if you're really going for the whole deal, I think you have to do everything it takes. I will say this, though. It was kind of nice to win the division early this year. I ain't going to lie. When's the last time the Niners won a division with 4 or 5 weeks to go in the season? It's been a long time.
It's been a minute.
So it was nice. And to know we're in the playoffs, regardless of where our seeding is, we're locked into the 3 seed, which means we get a wild card game in our place, which, our fans are awesome. And then plus we travel well. So.
Well, when you have a defense and you have a good running game, that's a good recipe for traveling well. Real quick, Wolf made a comment earlier that I wanted to address on. He said about whether he wouldn't rest all the players, but he'll play them for a quarter, maybe kind of get there. But one thing about that is, listen, when it's your time to get hurt, it's your time. Let's say they only play you for a quarter, but within that first quarter, you get hurt and you're out for the rest of the season. It happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm more for momentum. I'm more about playing your players through. Now, if you have a great lead towards the fourth quarter, then you can kind of take them out with a big lead. But if you have momentum, the thing goes, if it ain't broken, why fix it? Sometimes you rest players. I've seen teams do that. They'll rest their players for the whole last week, and then they get bounced in the first round of the playoffs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're hot, you're hot, man. If you're gonna get hurt, I don't love injuries. I hate injuries, but if they're gonna happen, they're gonna happen. There's just no way of protecting you from it.
Question to you guys, as we talk, kind of wind this thing down. First of all, do you guys have a time limit?
I'm good.
Okay, because we do have some more topics still. The next one I was going to go into, which kind of goes in line with something that I kind of was talking to my brother about the defenses. I think the Niners defense needs to clean some things up. I don't think everyone says we're a lead and we're unbeatable and, there's not a hole in the defense. And listening to KNBR today and listening to my own self watching games, you scout with your eyes. That secondary of ours still gives me pause. Whether it's Hufanga blowing some plays or, the pass rush seeming to be Bosa or nothing at times. To me, I feel like the defense, I like the 3rd and longs that were converted on us last week against the Commanders pissed me off dramatically. I was so hot watching that game. I'm like, really? So I guess my question to you, Wolf, is is the defense all great and gravy, or do you think that there's room for improvement as we get into playoff time?
I mean, I would say they are pretty damn great. Nobody's perfect, though. Of course, it could always definitely clean some stuff up, man. But go into the Commanders game, man, because I feel like it's been a really big focal point. I think it's been overblown a bit this week because this has been happening to us all season this year. This dates back even to the Robert Saleh days, and DeMeco Ryans was an understudy of Robert Saleh. So, they tend to play third down really conservatively, especially when Mosley's not in there. They're more willing to play press man. But I feel like we got to give the Commanders some praise too, some credit for what they did. They rank third in third down conversions. They rank number 1 in time of possession. They've got a really good coach. So, they just did their homework and they took care of business on certain times when they had to, not as much as the 49ers did. But, I take it more to DeMeco Ryans. I think he's got to clean up his play calling and be a little more aggressive. Play some more press man where you're giving the defense another second or two for the receivers have to get off the line. They have to take a little more time to get off the line. Creates pressure in the backfield off the defensive line. So DeMeco Ryans, he was actually asked about it by Grant Cohn, whether he feels he should call more cover one I think it was cover one or just man or something like that. He's like just saying that he's playing soft coverage. And DeMeco Ryans was like, yeah, I kind of just call it on each situation. It doesn't I don't have a trend. It's just how I feel for that situation. But at the end of the day, I feel like somebody has to make a play regardless. And I love that he has the honesty and the respect to answer the question, but I disagree with him. I think play calling has a lot to do with it.
Beto?
I'm sorry. What was the question again?
Just if the defense could make any improvement, as great as they've been all year.
Got it. That's right. I was looking at the comments, keeping with the comments.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Listen, everyone can always improve. You're never 100% solid. Mr. Hufanga, first year as a Pro Bowler, I'm excited for him.
Me too.
But he's still young. He still jumps. Oh, okay, that's awesome. He still jumps though, and he still makes some bonehead moves. He lets the guy get behind him, and he needs to really clean that up before playoff time. But the secondary needs to clean it up. Lenore needs to get a little bit more cleaner on the opposite side of Charvarius Ward. So there's still the little things here and there that need to be fixed up in the back. Hopefully now that we have the big boy in the middle,
Armstead.
number 99, playing Kinlaw would help out the secondary a little bit. But there's always room for improvement. I don't care how good you are, because all it takes is one mistake in the postseason and you're out.
That's right. Can I real quick comment on these super chats real quick? We got Raphael 562 wanting us to touch on special teams. We'll do that momentarily, actually. Okay. And then Corey Davis. Oh, go ahead. What were you going to say, Wolf?
One thing I do like, I know I'm bashing DeMeco Ryans' conservative play calling a little bit, but one thing I do like about it is I feel like it's kept our secondary healthy. When they don't have to play press man so often, soft coverage, it does help to keep secondary healthy. So
less collision.
I do like that.
Yeah. Corey Davis asked when the 49ers started using 49er Faithful. I have no idea.
He asked me that yesterday, and I didn't get a chance to reply.
Thank you for the $5 super, by the way. Appreciate it.
Yeah. That's a good question.
That seems like something within the last 10 years or so with the whole Harbaugh era. The Faithful. I don't remember hearing the Faithful in the 90s and 80s, but I could be wrong.
I think it started around the time that the rivalry between the Niners and the Raiders, when it was really ramped up and it became the Battle of the Bay. I think that's when the Faithful thing came out. I believe.
I know the Empire was pushed more back then too, the 49er Empire instead of because people used to like to call us 49er Nation. It's like, no, we're not a nation. We're the Empire.
But Bashar just corrected the hell out of me. He says 49er Faithful is way before Harbaugh. Well, I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
I think it was in the 80s.
That's fair. You said you didn't know. That's fair.
That's why.
Aaron, so ask him to tell you when it was then.
Yeah, when did it start, homie? Since you know more.
There you go, Aaron. There you go. I love it. Get at him, boy. Get at him.
Bashar's my dude, though. He's my homie. I love Bashar.
He is.
Bashar's got my back. He'll fight for me. Same me to him. I'll throw hands if I have to.
Pizza for you.
Not
or
me,
make
bro.
a pizza for me.
I'll take off running.
I guess we could deviate a little bit to special teams. Personally, I'll just make this comment about special teams. They've been hot and cold this year. That's what I'll say about special teams. They've been good at times, pinning guys in and this, that, and the other. And then there's been games where I've seen them allow a lot of return yards and kicks aren't very deep. They're kind of shallow. I mean, he kicked it out of bounds last week on the kickoff. Robbie Gold. Yeah. Like, what are you doing? So my answer to that question is they've been up and down.
Yeah, that's true. Go ahead.
They have. They've been inconsistent. Their gunners have been good. I like the gunners. They've been really good. Ray has been bringing it out, bringing some excitement. So it has improved. I believe the Niners special teams are in the top 10, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a way improvement from last year. But there are some areas that they need to correct. And it is an upside down roller coaster. And
Convy says they give me anxiety. Exactly.
They give me anxiety. I don't know the definition of anxiety, bro.
Stress, like panic, like
that's what I mean. I'm being sarcastic when I asked that question.
Oh, I thought you. I got Tommy Huxley saying that I love Walker, Texas Ranger. You know what? My dad used to watch it, and I'm not gonna lie.
I thought you said hot wet. I'm like, whoa, what kind of show is that?
I am. I was a big fan of that growing up.
Did you guys hear about what's his name? What's his damn name? The guy that played Walker, Texas Ranger?
Chuck Norris.
Yeah. Chuck Norris. Did you guys hear he got bit by a king cobra the other day?
Did not.
Yeah. After 3 agonizing days, the cobra died.
Boom. I knew that was coming.
That's a good one.
Hey, you guys are right though, man, about the special teams, but I feel like they've built a lot more confidence, as the season progresses. Every time Ray was up for a kick return, for a reception, I was gritting my teeth whether he was going to fumble or not. So he hasn't yet. Knock on wood, man. So that's really good. And we're not in the position that we were last year where we were 31st in the league in special teams. So that's great. That in itself, just to have an improvement where they're not going to cost us games. They still allow, it seems like once per game, they'll allow a kickoff return for 40 or 50 yards, maybe even 60. And then even on field goals, it's getting really close, and it seems like teams are kind of figuring out the cadence that the field goal unit is using, and they're getting off the ball on perfect timing. So the 49ers have to mix that up a little bit more and keep opposing special teams on their toes. But they're overall improved, so I love it. It cost the Packers a playoff game last year, so.
In a game where our quarterback played like hot doo-doo, our special teams was the saving grace, and sometimes it matters just that little bit. So, John says Jesus walked on water, Chuck Norris swims on land. Awesome. I should pin that to the chat right now. Where is that?
There you go.
There we go. That's probably the funniest thing I've seen in chats since I've been doing them. That's hilarious. He's sitting there like, yeah. Oh, we just lost Beto. No.
Uh-oh. It's all right. We'll cover for him in the meantime.
Yeah. So the next one I was going to hit at, defense related, Bosa, the record. Bosa said he's more focused on the Aldon Smith record than he is the overall the overall record for, all time. What's your take on that, Wolf? You think he gets the 19.5?
Yeah, I do think it's unfair though, because and this is going for the whole NFL as historically, is players as the time goes on each season, not each season, but as we get further into the future, the NFL is adding more games to beat these records. So it's kind of unfair, I think. And even sports and medicine has gotten a lot better too. So that adds to it too, even though it seems like there's still more injuries now than there was in the past. But just getting back to it, man, I think he's going to tie or beat it in this game alone. But the thing that kind of makes me lack confidence a little bit in that is I think the 49ers could dominate so badly to where they're going to sit Bosa maybe early in the third quarter or something like that, midway through the third quarter. Hopefully that's the case. I doubt it, but it could happen. Yeah, man, I think he's going to beat it by this game. Stidham, he's not a mobile guy. I mean, if he is, he's really going to surprise us because we haven't seen it before. And he's not the most talented guy. I do have his stats, but yeah, let's just say he's not the most talented quarterback in the league, even though the Raiders want to see what he's got.
David McNiner says the rules make it harder to get sacks with all this new roughing the passer BS. 100% agree. I agree on some of it. You shouldn't drive your body weight down on top of a quarterback, but sometimes you can't avoid it.
No, man, they're football players too. F that.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not touching your private chat anymore. I keep touching it, keep throwing me out.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, because I was going to tell you about the giveaway, right? I touch it and it threw me out. I go, that can't be right. I did it again. It threw me out. I'm like, did this guy block me?
I don't think so. Sometimes it's weird. I've had people in my chat ask me why I'm not answering them. Did you block me? I don't know if YouTube does it itself. If somebody spells something or says something wrong, I don't know. I
keep touching the private chat. How it says comments and it says private chat.
Yep.
I click on it and it throws me out. I'm like, I ain't touching it no more.
Stupid YouTube or
it's
StreamYard.
StreamYard, yeah.
What do you think? You think he gets the record? Bosa for the sacks? Yeah.
Especially against I wanted Derek Carr because Derek Carr would have helped him a little bit more to get that record. I don't know about this young kid. He's a little bit more mobile than David.
That's Carr. What I've heard. He's a little bit more he can move around a little bit.
Yeah, so that might make it a little harder, but he only needs two, I think, and he's only trying to get past Aldon Smith. He's not even looking at Strahan's 22.5. He's trying to look at Aldon Smith 19.5. I think he can get it. I think he'll have 3 sacks in this game against the Raiders. The Raiders has been an offense that's given the most sacks in the NFL. So, but that was with Derek Carr. Hopefully it doesn't change with this rookie. But I think he can do it.
I think so too. And it's funny. Wolf made a comment about, extra games. That's why sometimes when Rice had that record that if they would have played in that non-strike shortened year, that Randy Moss ended up breaking it to me, it was like an asterisk because Jerry Rice played in less games and still scored more touchdowns within this, a certain amount of time. So yeah, it is. If Bill, let's just say if he does it in this game and, ties the record or whatever, and then I think a lot of fans won't be because there will be fans that'll say, well, he did it in less games, so, and it's a fair argument, but to me, I'm all about, if it helps us win and he gets 3 sacks and it's in, if he gets 3 to 4 sacks in the next 2 games, I really don't care if it's an extra game. It's still, it's a 49er record and Bosa is a great player that hopefully is going to be around a long time. So I'm not really, say if somebody broke one of Jerry Rice's records, say we drafted a receiver in the next coming years that turned out to be an all-time great. I'm not going to say, no, I don't want him to break any of Jerry's records because if it means that we're kicking ass and beating teams and he happens to just break Jerry's records, go ahead. So, but yeah, that's on that.
And then to be fair on that, I know I made that point, but if he does it in this game, then he'll do it in the same amount of time that Aldon Smith did.
Yeah,
and he was out for 1 game this season as well, right? So I don't remember if Aldon Smith missed any time when he when he made that record, but he did have the Cowboy to help him out as well too. So
he did. He did miss a game this year too, though. So technically, So technically, if he does it in 17 games, or 18 or 17.
16.
It's still okay.
Yeah. I want to see Drake Jackson, man. He wasn't active last week.
Yeah, what was up with that?
I think it just take too many roster spots.
I think they enacted him because they wanted to make sure TDP was active.
Yeah, that's a good possibility.
Oh, that was really weird to me, man. That was really weird.
Well, TDP was struggling all week with his tight hammy, and then thought he hurt his knee, they said, and then he found out he was fine, and the Niners just moved him down the depth chart and let TDP come to the game. TDP needs the reps, though. I remember I was watching the game with my brother, and he's like, geez, you guys just have running backs coming out your rear end. You guys are so good at it. And I told him, I was like, you know who it is, Jared? I said, it's freaking this old 70-something-year-old coach that's known the Shanahan family for a long time. He's responsible for all these freaking running backs that you see, him and Kyle. Like, there's a reason when he was away from the team, why is his name escaping me right now? The running back coach, old man. Please hit me in the chat, guys. My brain's going blank right now.
The Niners?
Yeah.
Oh, what's his name?
Bobby Turner. Bobby Turner.
Yeah.
So
there you go. Okay. Yeah.
I asked somebody if they thought that Bobby Turner, even though he was away from the team during the draft, if he had any insight post-draft, free agency, or in the draft with players. And almost all of them, I think it might have even been Larry Curry's like, oh, absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind. He's probably sending tape.
Yeah.
He's probably got a list of guys that he wants the 49ers to look at. Bobby Turner, when my brother says, man, you guys you develop running backs, like there's a reason for it. And it's going to be sad when Bobby Turner goes bye-bye. Yeah. But I'm so glad he's back because hell, we'll probably find another one in the draft next year. Everybody's like, we draft too many running backs. Listen, with our offense and how people go down left and right every single game, you can never have enough.
Well,
correct.
Can I make a point about earlier in the season? Cool. So, we started out the season with a whole new coaching staff. We lose our starting quarterback almost right away. These aren't guys that had experience like the guys before with Garoppolo and running an offense through him. They had prepared for Trey Lance. And then another guy that came in later was Bobby Turner, like you said. So he didn't come back till later on in the season too. So how much of an effect is he having now? I forget who we played right after he came back, but it seemed like the offense started doing better almost right away. And he was just there for a couple days. And then what else was I going to say? I hate when that happens. Yeah, man. So that might have been a saving grace because in the beginning of the season, we were losing games that, we had no business losing. Outside of that Chiefs game, we had no business at all whatsoever losing to any of the teams that we lost to. We should have the number 1 seed on lock right now in the NFC.
I know.
It's ridiculous.
And we don't even realize it. We people, might say we get a little bit, picky as fans, but we really should have the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
You know what, though? A lot of us looked at this year's schedule and a lot of us were optimistic. And one of those people was me. And I am not optimistic with the 49ers. I'm always on more of the negative side because I want to be surprised. I feel if I go for the positivity, then I'm going to get disappointed. So I always kind of put my expectations low. Well, this year I freaking went for the positivity and so far so good. And it could have been even better, like you said, but.
That's one thing I love about doing this YouTube stuff is we have all the receipts. Everybody knows that I'm not blowing smoke out my ass because I said we're probably going to go. I see 13-4 this season, around 13-4, maybe 12-5. That's what I called for this season. And sure enough, it looks like we're on pace for that, man. So the receipts are there. I love it because I can't just go back and make stuff up. It's there. I said it. So.
I think Celts Chronicles called our regular season record. And if we win these next 2 games, Celts is going to be 100% on point. And he said he didn't back off of it even during the losing part in the middle of the season. Real quick to wrap it up, we're not like we talked about. We're not going against Carr. Couple injury things to talk about. It looks like Elijah Mitchell. We talked about it earlier. The Niners could make a decision on him next week. To honestly, one way or the other with Elijah, with him being hurt all the time, I don't have any expectations. He is, and I mean this, and I'm not trying to be a jerk. He is really fragile. He's just, I don't know, genetics, something with the knees. The man, for whatever reason, just can't stay in the lineup. He gets hurt almost instantaneously every time he's back. Any thoughts on that? Any thoughts on who else am I thinking about right now?
There's Debo, Jimmy Garoppolo.
Do you know defensive tackle Kevin Givens are saying he could be back for the playoffs? Any thoughts on any guys that are either coming back or on their way back?
Givens would be awesome, man.
Yes.
Of course, Mitchell as well. Mitchell would be awesome. You know, we run through running backs like it's going out of style. You know, we always talk about that. And yeah, you're right, man. It's just, I think it's Elijah Mitchell's physique. Like, he's not the biggest running back. He's pretty far from it, but his style is like he is the biggest running back. So I think it doesn't bode well for his health. And then too, like, whenever he's coming back from injury, it seems like the 49ers rush him and they put too much on his plate, and they should take it a little slower, I think. But you know, have that rotation like in 2019. I think that would be badass. Givens would be awesome for the defensive line. The more guys we can get on there, because you know, Ebukam has gone down, Omenahu has gone down, Jordan Willis stepped up, man. So that's awesome. But the more we can get, the better. That'd be badass. I'd love it.
Real quick, we got to get out of here. Beto's got to get going. Real quick on that. Any thoughts on that, Beto, or are you cool on the injury front? Anybody you want to see come back?
No, I'm good. Pretty much, you guys. I know. No, I'll go. Sorry. No, I'm good. I think you guys pretty much spoke on it. There's not really much for me to add to that.
We want to do a quick giveaway real quick. Beto wanted to do a giveaway. I don't know if we have time.
And it's not gonna. I was gonna do a pack, but I'm gonna do something a little bit different. For those, I'm pretty sure everybody has a significant other, or a mom or a sister. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do something a little bit different than the normal patch. What I'm gonna be giving away is this beautiful necklace.
Nice.
Something different. A beautiful necklace comes with a pair of earrings, matching earrings.
Oh yeah.
So it's a beautiful necklace. It's an expensive necklace. And so I'm going to be giving that away to a lucky winner tonight. You can give it to your mom. You can give it to your sister. You can give it to your wife. And anyone can win that. That's just my way of saying thank you for supporting my boy Aaron and supporting the channel every Friday. Are just a way. So what I'm going to do is real quick is I'm going to have you guys pick up between a number between 1 and 50. Stop putting in them on the comments between 1 and 50. Don't repeat it. Just 1 and 50. And the one that gets the number or closest to the number is the winner. So we started with David at 42, Steve 38. Can't repeat the numbers. Make sure the guys, the numbers are not repeated.
49. I win.
And then go ahead and put it into Wolf. You do it as well. And so you, Aaron, you guys can do it as well. Put your numbers in there because anybody can win this. And it's for this beautiful
hopefully not
necklace.
Pick 49 yet.
Matching earrings. Between 1 and 50. No doubles. 49 1 and 50. He put 75. Between 1 and 50. John B.
Randy Daytona says my girlfriends only want cash.
Not 52. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Clown Man says, damn sickness. Whole new level, fam.
I'm just trying to give some love, man.
Oh, man. We got to pay attention to this chat. This is going to be tough.
All right. So are you guys, I think everybody pretty much put in their number. How you doing, Christy? Welcome. Make sure you have your number, Christy. We're giving this away tonight, Christy Marie. This beautiful necklace with a matching pair of earrings. This is the giveaway for tonight. So are you guys ready?
Si, senor.
Between 1 and 50. So I'm going to have my lovely assistant, Google, help me out. Google, pick a number between 1 and 50. Hey, Google, pick a number between 1 and 50. 32.
Nice.
32. Who got 32?
I saw
Let me back it up real quick. 32. So we started with David, 42, 38.
I see let's get it with 32 on here.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yep. I had
There
31.
let's get it.
Dang. By a hair, man. Right on the goal line.
I didn't really want to win for the sake as I wanted the chat to win. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so I'm like picking 31. I'm like, there's no way. And of course,
31.
I'm within one.
Yeah.
Right on the goal line, man. Let's get it. Won by field goal.
Who won it again? It was
Let's get it.
Let's get it.
Yep.
What an appropriate name, right? Let's get it. You got it. Do me a favor, if you can matter of fact, I'll type it in the comments. Send me an email with your information. Let's get it. And I'll be happy to mail this out to you. Congratulations on winning this fine jewelry. Enjoy it for yourself or for a loved one. Let me put my address in there real quick. And then I'm going to get out of here, bro.
Oh, shit.
Prop. Congrats. You almost took out your whole deal over there, Wolf.
Yeah, no. The hell
the email is on the comments for Let's Get It, Niner Sickness Podcast at gmail.com. Please send me your information on how for me to get this to you, and I'll send it to you. What's today? Friday, next week. Send it to you next week. I'm just gonna pop out. I know you guys had to call it a night. I'm gonna pop out because I got to be at the store before 8:00. I forgot it.
Gotcha, homie.
So I'm out of here. Thank you for having me, and I'm looking forward to doing this with you every Friday. Wolf, me too. It was fun having you on, bro. It's been fun. We definitely got to continue to do this, man.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm out of here. Good night, guys.
You too.
Good night, guys. Or Beto.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for coming through, man. I hope we can keep doing this.
Yeah.
I'm glad I've never interacted with you besides comments. This was you always get a little bit nervous when you know how somebody's going to think of you or they think you suck or if they're just going to delete you off of Twitter after the stream. I don't know. I'm very self-conscious about stuff like that. So everybody in the chat, everybody, thank you so much. Thanks for the supers. Thanks for everybody coming through. We had a pretty strong amount of people in here tonight. Everybody was involved. It's always tough for me. Some people are chat wizards and they can friggin' just nail the chat and they answer everybody's questions. I am not that guy. So for anyone who feels ignored or I put you in the background, I didn't do it on purpose, but thanks everybody. Looks like we're going to see you next week. Me, Wolf, and Beto. And then eventually we'll have our man Amin come back. We'll have a 4-person deal. I might try to work to get some special people in here who, if they're not busy, if not, then I think we could hold it down with the people we got. I think we did a pretty good job. So everybody have a great night. Thanks for coming through, and we'll see you guys next Friday.
Good night, guys.